So, here we are, our very first lesson. So the first lesson I wanted to think about that we could do that will be a great intro to the work that we're doing over the next few weeks is about this idea of the self-tape. So the self-tape is not like brand new to the theater. It's been happening for a very long time. I mean, people have been filming theater since we've had the technology to film things. But it's really come into play within, I would say, the last 10 years as a tool that casting directors and agents and directors use to pick talent. Now that our world is so global because of social media and because of technology, theater has had to catch up as far as like where we get our talent from. I mean, used to be that if you wanted to get a bunch of actors in a performance, you just look at who was around you and then that was it. But nowadays, because of technology and the advancement of technology, most casting directors and agents, they don't have to just pick people that are just right about where they are. They can look literally all over the world. And how they do that is this idea of the self-tape. So we're going to explore, what is this idea of the self-tape? How do I look like myself as an actor, as an artist, using that self-tape? And we're going to practice using the self-tape. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So the first thing about using a self-tape is that you can't be afraid of the way you look on camera. I mean, that's the big thing. I mean, I remember when I first started doing my first self-tapes, I was like really afraid because it's like, oh, look at my face, look at this, whatever. But you have to let all that go. Because one thing I've learned about the camera is that the camera doesn't lie. It shows things that maybe you're not even thinking it's going to see. So especially for the theater, it's about like telling the truth. And so you really want to be as truthful as you can in the tapes that you make for theater and performance, which I think is very unique to our art form. The fact that there's this bit of technology for a live type of thing. So when you're first getting started making your self-tape, the first thing you're going to do is find a neutral place and wherever you are to start recording. So you're going to look around your place and you're going to find something that's like this, neutral background. So nothing that's kind of distracting from what you're going to be presenting on the camera. So that's the first thing. And you also want to make sure at that time your lighting is good, that you can really see yourself in the camera so that you can get the best video possible. So that's the first thing. So make sure your background is A-okay. So once you get your background set up, the next thing you're going to do, you're going to get ready to do what they call a slate. The slate. When you hear that word slate, what they're talking about, it's just really a brief introduction of yourself and about a little bit about who you are that's going to lead into whatever you're going to be presenting in the self-tape. So for our very first lesson, we're going to practice just doing that much on camera, making sure we have a great background that we can present whatever material we're going to present. And then the next thing we're going to do is this slate. So when you're making a slate, the slate is an opportunity for you to really like show a little bit of your personality. It's like really the only time in your self-tape that you really get to be you. Because the other times you're usually going to be acting and doing something else and acting as somebody else. So it's a really great opportunity if you're smart to think as a marketing person for yourself. It's like, this is the time that the casting people and the director gets to see me as me. And so however you choose to do your slate, think about ways that can really make you shine for who you are as you shift and then go into whatever material you're going to be presenting to them or the material they've asked for you to submit for them. So here are the few things that you're going to have when you're presenting your slate. The first thing is going to be your name. You're going to say your first and last name. Then after that, you're going to say your grade, followed by your homeroom. And that's all you're going to do. You're going to just say your name, your grade, and your homeroom. So we're going to just practice that as our very first lesson. So all I want to see in our very first self-tape, you're going to do your slate. You're going to practice doing your slate. And remember, when you do say your slate, it should sound like you, not like a robot or something weird. It should really show a little bit of your personality. And one thing about making the self-tape, usually you'll make a few takes. That means you'll try it out a few times. You have like maybe a few recordings. I would suggest no more than 4 or 5. Because once you get over 4 or 5, it kind of gets a little crazy, and then it gets stale and weird on the camera. You want it to seem very spontaneous, even though there are structured things that you're saying in your slate. So I would just practice whatever you do. Make about 4 to 5 copies of it, and look at the 4 to 5, and then pick the best one. And once you find the best one, then you're going to submit that one to me. And once you do that, I'll get them, and I'll give you some feedback on how you did. And then I'll use that to inform my next lesson. And just like that, that's it. So you've just made your first self-tape. You should be proud. Now, once you finish that, submit that to me at this address here at israelhillery@achievementfirst.org. And I look forward to checking them all out very soon. Mr. Hillary, Achievement First Aspire Middle School, Theater.